What's up, guys? It's Jue here, bringing you guys another AoE 4 video. This video is going over the best settings to have for Age of Empires 4 in 2026. Alright, let's get into it. So yeah, I'm going to show you the best settings to have. Let's get into it. Alright, so sticky selection controls whether left-clicking the ground deselects units. I have that as off. Swap shift, I have off. Exclusive control groups, I have this as on. So this is personal preference. Some people like it off. Some people like to have this on. Exclusive control groups means if you have a cav in control group 3 and then you put like that same unit in control group 5, it'll override the previous control group and put it into like control group 5, for example. Idle villager. This is I have as select and center camera. So you know, if you're microing a fight over here and you have an idle villager, you want to fix the idle villager, you want to press the hotkey and have it jump to that idle villager. You want the screen to jump there. So yeah, there's also a hotkey, I believe, for select idle villagers in a group. So I'll press the hotkey to select idle villagers, and it will select all 5 idle villagers. Right, they're already pre-selected. I don't have to do a drag box over the 5 vills. The 5 idle vills are already pre-selected. So that's good. And then I guess let me show you this just to show you exactly how this works. So I have 5 villas idle here, 1 villager idle there. If I press the idle vill hotkey, it'll select the 5 villagers like in a group, right? It won't like select all 6. It won't select that one because that's probably not what you'd want. It'll select like the ones that are in a group, and then you can press it again to get the other one. So in that scenario, if you have like idle villas in one corner of the map and idle villas in a different corner of the map, you don't want to give them the same command. Alright. Idle villager hotkey, probably the most important hotkey in the game, so I just want to go over that. Idle military, select only. I don't think I really use that. Find and cycle units and buildings. I have this as select only. So you don't want the screen to jump to anything except your idle villagers. Like, for example, I have a hotkey for select all economic buildings, right? I press hotkey, and then I'd select all my eco buildings. But I don't want the screen to jump there, because then I won't be able to micro during the fight, right? So yeah, I can press a hotkey and it will just pull it up, and then you have this all tab. You can press this all. Yeah, you can press tab, and you can then go to the mining camp. You can press the hotkey, which will work for that to get that upgrade. Press tab again, go to the lumber camp. Press the hotkey, and so on and so forth. So you can tap through the buildings like that, and when you're on the alt tab, it shows like upgrades for multiple buildings. Kind of same thing for select all military buildings. I like using select all military buildings. Some people don't, some people do. But yeah, you can tab through each military building and then press the hotkey for whatever building you're currently tabbed on. Oh yes. And then there's also a hotkey for called select all technology buildings. So you can press select all technology buildings. It will select your blacksmith and a university if you're in the last stage of university. So same thing, right? I want to select my blacksmith, but I don't want my screen to jump to the blacksmith. So I can select the blacksmith, and then boom, I can press the hotkeys to get the upgrades. So yep, that's how you want it. All right, back to the settings. Cycle through. Select only, focus on selected unit. You do want to have that as center camera, so that way it can jump to your idle villagers. Command Q mode, I have this and on release. Camera, enable pan acceleration is off. And then edge screen panning on. So you want to have pan acceleration off, because if you have it on, when you move the screen, right, when I move the screen, it moves at the same speed. But if you have that setting as on, then when you start to move the screen, it'll go really, really slowly. It'll go really, really slowly, and then go super fast, right? It accelerates. So it goes super, super slow, and then boom, it like moves it really quick. But you want to, I have it at the same exact speed, so that's why I have that setting as off. Alright. Disable edge panning while box selecting. I have that on. Screen edge pan speed, I have at 145%, so depending on how fast you play, you're going to want to put that faster. That's how quickly the screen moves when I move it like this. So you can play around with it. You know, if you put it to like 1%, it would be at a snail's pace, or whatever. And then if you're a good player, you want to try to, you know, have it go higher so you can move the screen quickly and, you know, have that high APM that competitive players need and that high multitasking. All right. Keyboard pan speed, that you should never use the keyboard to pan your screen. So, yep, that's just whatever. Personal camera mode, personal preference. I like to play classic. Maybe panoramic is probably better. I think most competitive players probably play a panoramic, but I think actually Marine Lord plays classic. There's some, it's personal preference, but yeah, classic, you're a little more zoomed in. Panoramic, you're zoomed further out so you can see more of the map, which is nice, but then it does make it a little more difficult to micro or click on individual units because you're further out. So there's pros and cons to both, I would say. Mouse wheel zoom, I have is on, and then I have zoom speed at 200%. Sometimes you do want to micro night and like charge a specific villager, so it's really good to be able to zoom in. But I just use the mouse scroll to zoom in, and you want to be able to just zoom in quickly with like the single scroll, right? So that's why it's up all the way. And then you can scroll back. Alright, on game settings, dynamic training, I have this as off. It just shows like pop-up tips that if you're an experienced player, you don't want to see those pop-ups. They can be distracting. Player colors, I have as unique. I don't really play team games, but this is personal preference. You can put as unique, or you can put as friendful colors if you're playing team games. Maybe if you're playing team games, you want both of the enemies to be red, so you would put team-based. Box select drag. This one, the wording on this setting is very confusing. I like to have it as military only. And I'll show you what this does. A lot of competitive players probably don't use this. Majority maybe don't use this, but it's one of those personal preference hotkeys that I find helpful for me, and I think it is more beneficial for me. And there are pros and cons to using this setting, but let me just show you what it does. So if I do a giant drag box over my villagers, it will select my villagers. If I do a giant drag box over my military, it will select my military. Now, if I do a giant drag box over my military and my villagers, it will only select my military. So that can be really helpful in scenarios where, you know, say your military is in your base and you don't want to, I don't want to move these villagers off of berries, but I want to select all my military, right? I can just do a giant drag box, and it only will select military and, like, you know, can attack move. So that's really, really helpful in a lot of scenarios. I think the lower level player you are, I think when I tell people about this, everybody like loves this setting. There could be negatives to this where, like, say you're getting attacked and you're trying to pull back the vills. It can make it hard to select like the villagers because, you know, say I want to pull back this vill that's getting attacked. Well, it's going to be very difficult. If I do drag box, I won't be able to select that vill. It could become very difficult to select the vill. So that's like the negative aspect. You know, maybe you can anticipate it, maybe put the villagers in a control group beforehand so that you can easily select the vills. But yeah, that's the downside of this. So like I said, personal preference, but I've used easy military drag for a very long time, so yeah, something I'm just used to, and yeah, I think it's helpful for me. Real quick, I'll just show you what these other settings do, I guess. I'm kind of double checking that they didn't change anything with this. So smarts, let's see, so smart, you can drag box vills, you can drag box military, but with smart, it will drag, it's kind of normal, it will drag box the vills and the military. And if you put it as yeah, the setting is it's worded horribly in the settings in AoE 4 here. Yeah, the wording, it doesn't make any sense, but so what did I just put it? Shoot. Sorry. Okay, I just put it as villagers only. So I have it on villas only. It doesn't make sense because you can drag box military, you can drag box vills, and villagers only, I guess, will select, if you do a giant drag box, it will select the villagers instead of the military, which is interesting. I don't even know if I knew that existed, but that's interesting. Yeah, in most RTS games, the setting is worded differently, and it doesn't work exactly like it is in this. Usually other games would call this, military only would be called easy military drag in a normal RTS game. So I have, yeah, like I said, the military only option, so you can drag box military, you can drag box villagers, and if you do a giant drag box over both, it will select the military only. So yeah, most RTS games they call it easy military drag. In AoE4, they weirdly call it military only box select drag. Yep. Campaign difficulty, whatever, autosave, right click, garrison for buildings, I have on, show waypoints for single actions, I have on, if you just click a single action, it will show the waypoint. Q command priority, I have is construction, there's a couple settings here, but construction I really like. Attack, move, behavior, I have as default, yeah, which I haven't messed around with these in a while, but yeah, I believe default is better. Yeah, I'm not going to take time, but let me just show you the queued command priority. It goes on construction. So this one's really nice. Like, say I select the villager and I want to build the houses. This villager is gathering gold. I can press the hotkey to build house, and right now I'm holding down shift, and I can press shift, build 2 houses, and still holding down shift, right click on the vill. And this villager will build the 2 houses and then go back to the gold mine. Say I had the setting... I'll just show you real quick, I guess. So if you have this on gathering, let me save. Now say I do that same exact thing. I hold down shift and I press to build the houses and then click to go to the gold mine. What the villager is going to do is the command is telling the villager to gather the entire gold mine, to gather 2,600 gold. Then once he's done with that command of gathering the gold, he will then build the houses. And you, like, obviously that's not what you want, so if you want to shift click build houses, it would take like an extra click to build the houses and get there. So that's a really nice setting that they added. Maybe like a few patches, probably like a year ago, but it wasn't, you know, always there. So yeah, it's really nice to have the setting the other way. It kind of saves your finger like one less click. Yeah. So let me put that back. Construction is how you want it, is what I suggest. UI settings, health bars, you should have it as always on. That way you can see the HP of your units and enemy units, makes microing easier. Construction progress bars, I recommend always on. Show game time on. Pin player information on. Global queue should have show all. You can see that what you currently have in queue, if your villas are in queue, military units, all that. Minimap size, I put as larger. You can, yeah, there's larger or largest, personal preference, but I like larger. Control group shortcuts on, out of villa icon on, condensed military objectives I was on, which is good. Yeah, the corner here is like much more smaller. If you have is like the old style, it's like how the game launched, where it would just have like massive writing in the left corner telling you to like capture sacred sites and just be very distracting. So yeah, the condensed victory objectives on is very nice. Graphics, personal preference for your system, of course. I play exclusive full screen, so I can like minimize my camera. Lock mouse to window. I have it looks like I have all my graphics on high. I don't think I have any like lag issues with playing on high and maximum. So I guess I'll keep them on high. Maybe I should mess around with putting them on low to see if things run smoother. But yeah, I think, I don't know. This is what I have. Audio. So this one that I recently changed, I put music volume as 0. If you're a more casual player, not super competitive, then I would recommend having your music volume on, because the music is really cool in this game and it sounds amazing and it's awesome. But if you're a competitive player, I'm pretty sure most or all competitive players have music off, which is not something I've always done. I think I used to have it low, but the music can be distracting because, you know, if you're getting attacked, you need to hear an attack alert, which is different than music volume. And it won't necessarily drown out the attack alert, but if you're constantly having just some music playing, like drums or whatever, it could be distracting from what's actually happening, right? Your brain might not be able to register the attack alert as much if there's like music constantly playing. So yeah, if you're competitive, you should probably put music down to 0. Yep. And yeah, that looks like about it for the settings here. And then I'm going to quickly go over some real important hotkeys. So the find idle village hotkey, I think I already went over that one, right? It will find the idle villagers in the group, and it will jump the screen to that idle villager. Find town center is important hotkey. Some people put town center in control group. Some people use find TC hotkey, but you want to be able to select your TC so you can queue up villagers without it jumping to the TC. It is important. Find scout. I like using a find scout hotkey. I don't have a jump to the scout, but I have that. Select all technology buildings. When I talked about earlier, so I can press select technology buildings, it'll select my blacksmith without jumping the screen there. Select all eco buildings. I already went over that. Select all military buildings. Same thing. I went over it. I didn't try the priest. Alright, and then attack move, you know, just like in any RTS game, you can attack move, I believe always with left click, and if your units run into other units, they will attack instead of like walking past them. So obviously if you're new, you should always be using attack move, like anytime you're moving your units across the map, just in case if you're not looking at the units. Alright, and then there's also a hotkey called Patrol, which is quite nice. Say, you know, you got some villagers gathering stone here, and you want to patrol them, keep them safe, or if you're trying to raid an opponent and you think they may be, you know, trying to go on this gold mine, you can put a knight and have a knight patrol the gold mine. So, yeah, very nice hotkey, which I didn't always use, but I think it's something I've started to use more often, and yeah, it's really, really good. So it's something you, definitely want to incorporate into your play. And it shows the waypoints too, which is quite nice. Alright, and then stop command. Stop command is, if you have your archers, you're telling them to go somewhere, you press stop, and they will stop in their tracks, right? They won't finish the waypoint. This can be used in some scenarios where sometimes when you attack move with a bunch of units, they'll try to, like, well, usually they would attack the closest unit, or if you like right click on a specific unit, sometimes they'll like dance around, they'll try to attack that specific unit, and they'll kind of start bugging out. So one of the good things to do in that scenario is you can press stop command, and basically what stop command does, it like tells the unit to stop, and then it will just like attack the closest unit next to it. So it'll like reset its action. Instead of like going in circles trying to attack a unit that it can't get to, you'll do stop command, and then it will like pause, it will reset it, basically factory reset, and then it will just attack whoever unit's closest to it. Oh crap, I didn't mean to move the archers. Yep, so that's stop command, and then stand ground is another hotkey that I don't use very often, but in some situations it can be really good. And I gotta start remembering to use this more often. This used to be used a lot with like English. If English is making longbows, there's some scenarios where, say like the opponent is gathering stone or gold right here, and they build a tower, and they're gathering from the gold. You can, if you click on the tower, you see the radius of how the range of the tower, right? But if you just put an archer like here and you're trying to attack the villagers without getting hit by the tower, if they're just standing there by default, then as the villagers move, the archer would chase them, and then the archer would die to the tower fire. So in a way to prevent that, you can put the archer just barely out of range where it's just barely not getting hit by the tower, and then do stand ground, and if a villager is within range, the archer would attack the villager. Obviously these are my own villas, but yeah, you can kind of see, right? Like you can stand ground the archers around, so they're just outside range of the tower and can potentially still attack villagers, which was, Lumbos always had more range than normal archers, so that was always a nice thing. And then one other hotkey I like using is to select your priest. So a lot of times when you're selecting relics, you want to be able to jump to your priest, and especially when you play Aether, this is something that I didn't always do, but it's actually a really important hotkey. Like if you're playing Aether and you're trying to grab multiple relics, or even, I mean, really any civ, if you're trying to get multiple relics, you want to be able to like select your priest really easily. Back when I didn't use this hotkey, my priests oftentimes they would get killed, but like night raids or whatever, just my control of them wouldn't be bad. It would, you know, I'd always lose my priests because I wouldn't be able to like find them easily on the map. But now I'm gonna kind of show you how I have this hotkey set up. So now it's a combination. I've find priest, which when I press the W hotkey, it will jump from one priest to the next, right? It will jump to different priests. And then I use a find selection, which I kind of only use it for priest. But I have a hotkey called Find Selection, so I do like a combination of two hotkeys to be able to find my monk, but it works out. So I press like W to find monk, and then I press like focus on selected unit, and then it will jump to the monk that the screen jumps to will be the one that is selected, right? So then I can pick up the relic and then send them back, and then I could find the other monk and then jump screen, right? So I can kind of jump back from one monk to the next. Yeah, so it's very helpful for getting relics and kind of keeping your monks safe. Yeah, that is everything. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. And yeah, this is the best settings for Age of Empires 4 in 2026. Yeah, peace out.